In this video, we're going to discuss a new feature of the list control on a UX component, showing how you can add a search part to a list so that you can perform searches on your list in much the same way that you can do searches on a grid component. So the ability to search a list is not a new feature. There is Action JavaScript that allows you to create a search part for a list, but now it's a built-in feature of the list control, making it much easier to do. So let's go now and add a search part for this list control. So I'm going to go back to the list control, and you can see that this list control is based on a SQL database. It's actually the sample Northwind database that has been exported to MySQL. So we're going against a MySQL database right now, and we're going to go to list properties here, and we're going to turn on the search part. And then we're going to go to the search part, and now we're going to start configuring the search part. Now, we don't currently have any controls on this UX component where we would enter our search criteria. So either we can exit now and add some controls where we'll enter our search criteria, or we can just use the quick setup genie over here. So we'll go here and we'll say create controls for the search part, and we'll basically go here and say we'd like to choose the controls, and we'd like to be able to search in these fields. And then I also want to basically go ahead and add some buttons, and let's also display some debugging information that'll show us the SQL that's being generated for different types of searches. So I'm going to go ahead now and click OK, and then specify where I want the search controls to be placed. I'd like them to be placed before the list control, and I'd like to wrap them in a frame with a label of, say, search. And I'd like to have my labels for each of the search controls be above the control itself. So we'll go ahead now and click OK. And you can see now that the genie has added all of these new controls inside a frame control. So here's all my search controls, and then it's automatically filled in this mapping section over here. So we've basically said that the value that the user types into, say, the search company field will be used to filter the value in the list's company name field. And then, for example, the same thing is true of, say, all of these other fields. So let's go ahead now and click OK. We've got debugging information turned on, and we've got our search part style currently set to individual controls. So we'll come back and discuss the other options here a little later on. But there are three different types of search parts that you can create: individual controls, a single keyword search, and query by form, which is only available if you've got a detail view turned on, which we don't currently have. So I'm going to go ahead now and click OK. And now when we run this component, we can see that what we have is our search part fields over here, and then there's our list over there. So let's just go back there and turn off this break so that we end up seeing the search part to the left of the list, which will make it a little bit easier to understand what's going on. And now we can go and start doing queries. So I'll just go here and type in, say, USA and type search. And you can see that since we turned debugging on, we actually get to see what the filter was that was applied to this list. So you can see our filter was countries like, and then the search part. So let's go now and clear the filter, and this time type in, say, London, comma, Madrid, and then click search. And you can see now we basically found all records that are in London or Madrid, and our filter there is displaying the filter that was computed from the data that was submitted. So you can see here that we're supporting the ability to enter a comma in the data to use as an OR operator. So that's controlled by properties in the list itself. So let's pause now and pick this up in the next video. So we're continuing our video on adding a search part to a list control, and we've shown how you can enter a comma delimited list of values to search for. And the comma is not the only search syntax that is supported. So you can also use a, for example, .m, which would search for all records that start with A and end with M. So you can see over there now we've basically got all records, all cities that's between A and M. If we were to go then, for example, type in Paris, and as a second option there. So now what we have is all cities that start with A and end with M, and also Paris as well. So you can see that Paris is now automatically included in this list over there. You can see there's a record for Paris, and you can see that we're always seeing what our search criteria are. Now the ability to use this is called QBF syntax in the actual list itself, is controlled by a setting in the list property. So by default QBF syntax is enabled, but if I go back to this list right now and I go over to the list properties, and let's go for example to say the city field, and we'll go to our search properties here and we'll turn off allow QBF syntax. You can see here we also have a search option that specifies exactly how the search will be performed. So by default we're using an is contained in search, but you can also specify that you'd like the search to be an exact match or a not equals. So there's quite a few different search options that you can choose from. So I'm going to leave it as is contained in, and I'm going to turn off QBF syntax. And so now when I go back to my search now and I search now for London, I'm going to find a match. But if I search now for London, Paris, now I'm going to not find a match because there is no record with the city of London, Paris, because we've turned off our QBF syntax. So at this point we've discussed how you can add a search part that has individual search controls. So you can see here we've used so far the individual search controls option. So let's go now and discuss the keyword search option. So I'm going to go and save this as a new component. So I'll go here and say list customers keyword, and then I'm going to go and delete all of those search fields. So I'll just go there and hit the delete button, and then go back here and put in a text box, and I'll just call this keyword search. So now I've got my text box over there, and now I'm going to go back to my list control and change the search criteria, the search style, from individual controls to a single keyword control. Specify which fields I'd like to search in, so I'm going to search in all of the fields, and then specify what my keyword control is. So that's keyword search over there. So again, let's go ahead now and run this. So now we have just a single control here, and I can type in, say, London, and perform the search, and we can see we find basically all records that are in London. But if you look at the actual where clause that was generated, you can see that the where clause looked for the value of London in all of the fields that are specified to search in. So we looked inside the customer ID field, the company name field, etc. So now if I were to go here and type in, say, London, let's go type in, say, Paris, North, what I would expect to find is records in Paris, and also this record here, because this record has North in the name. So I'll go ahead and hit search, and you can see there's the two records for Paris, and then also the keyword search found the record with the value of north-south in the company name. So let's pause now and pick this up in the next video. In the previous videos we've shown how you can configure the search part of a list control to either be a single keyword field where you can type in a search value and then filter across multiple fields in the list, or you can define a search part where you have individual controls where you can type in filter criteria in any of the fields here, and then the filter is applied to the corresponding column in the list. The third option is a query by form option that is available if the list has a detail view. So let's now go and configure this list to have a detail view, and then turn on the query by form option. So let's go back now to design mode here. I'm going to just save this as list, say, QBF search, and I'm going to go and delete the existing search part. And now I'm going to go and create a detail view for this list. So I'll just open up the list properties, and I'll go here and I'll turn on detail view. Then I'll move over to the detail view section here, and I'll use the Genie to help me get set up really quickly. So I'll go there, and I'll create detail view controls for all of the columns in the list, and I'll add some buttons over there. So if I go ahead now and I'll say after, and I'll call this the detail view, click OK. So this is now gone, you can see now, and we've added all of the controls necessary for the detail view, and I'm going to put the detail view to the right of the list itself. So if I go there, sorry, underneath the list, so I've got my list over there, and then underneath this list I have the detail view. I'd actually like to do it to the right, so I'm going to turn that break off right now and go back to my list. So I don't have enough room, so I'll just go and make the list a little bit narrower. I'll go and change the list, say, to 5 inches, and go ahead and run it now. So now I've got my list, and I've got my detail view to the right of the list. So now when we want to use a search using the query by form method, we're going to actually use these controls over here, not only to display the detail view as we're doing right now, but also to enter the search criteria. So we'll go back now to design mode, and we'll go to our list, and now we'll change the search part from individual controls to a query by form option over there. And then what we need to do is, in order to make this really work, we're going to need to have buttons that switch the UX component into query mode and out of query mode. So I'm going to go here and use the Quick Setup Genie to add buttons for the different modes. So I'm going to go there, and I'm going to put the buttons after the synchronize buttons over there. So let's go ahead and click OK now, and then click OK. And I'm not going to wrap them in a container, so I'll just go there and stick them in. And now if I click OK, we can see now that what happened was some additional buttons got added over there, which allow us to control whether the form itself is in detail view mode or search mode. So you can see that now, as I click on different rows, this form here is in detail view mode, so the form is displaying the detail of the current row. But now if I want to switch to query by form mode, I can press this button, and you can see now that all of the detail view buttons here have been disabled, and I can go here and type in, say, USA, and then run my search. So now we've done our search, and the form has been switched back now into detail view mode. So you can see that these buttons now have become disabled, and the detail view is now back on again. So I can go here and make edits to this detail view, etc. And if I want to switch back into search mode, I can just go here and type in search, and then let's clear the filter and type in, say, London, comma. So continuing now with the query by form search method, we're going to go there, type in London, comma, Madrid, hit the search button, and now I see we've turned off. Let's go back here to our list here and turn query by form back on again for the city field. So I'll go here and turn it back on again. So go back now to preview here, go into query by form mode, go over to city and type in London, comma, Madrid, and then hit the search button, and you can see that we've performed the search. So the nice thing about a query by form mode is that you can search on all of the fields that are in the detail view, and you can use the existing controls on the component without having to go and create additional individual search field controls, which we did when we used the first option of individual controls. So what we've shown in this video here are very powerful methods for searching data in a list control on a UX component, and we've shown how you can configure the search part using 3 different techniques: individual controls, a single keyword control, or query by form mode, where the detail view controls are used to enter the search part. Thank you very much for watching.